Meeting for Thursday, January 19th to order. May I have a roll call, please?
Councilman Baji. Present. Councilman Walker.
Here.
Mayor Wheaton.
Here.
Vice Mayor Eldridge.
Here.
Councilman Gilbert.
Here.
5 present.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to ask those that wish to do so to stand for the invocation given tonight by Pastor Steve Taboo of the River, to be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Lord, you're the best. And we come here today to just carry on our civil business, but we're asking you to give us wisdom. You say, if any man lacks wisdom, to ask, and you'll give it to us generously. So we right now, as a room, we come and we say, Lord, we need your wisdom. We come right now, and Lord, we ask for your strength, Lord. These days, man, it can be crazy times, but Lord, you are constant. You are hope and you are love. And so we just pray tonight that in all things that are discussed, that we will honor you by the way we treat our brothers and sisters and friends in the room, and that we will honor you in the way we speak, and we will bring glory to your name. Thank you for loving us in Jesus' name. Amen.
I'm glad to meet you. Thank you, Pastor Steve.
Yeah.
Item 3, consider approval of agenda as presented. Are there any changes?
What changes, Mayor?
Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a motion by Councilman Walker? Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Eldridge. Any discussion? All vote.
All votes correct. 5 yes, motion carries.
Thank you. 5A, old business, consider approval of minutes of council meeting held on December 15th, 2022. Is there a motion?
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Gilbert and seconded by Councilman Walker. Any discussion? All vote.
All votes correct. 5 yes, motion carries.
Thank you. On the consent agenda, 6A, consider approval of pricing adjustment on transformer bids approved by the City Council on May 5th, 2022. 6B, consider awarding bids for steel poles. 6C, consider awarding bids for transformers. And 6D, consider approval of pricing adjustment on chemical bid chlorine approved by the City Council on June 9th, 2022. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Councilman Baji, second by Councilman Walker. Any discussion? All vote.
All votes correct. 5 yes, motion carries.
Thank you. 7A, hold a public hearing and consider on first reading ordinance 0230101, rezoning of one parcel located at 2730 Buck Mountain Road, tax map 052, parcel 013.00, from RS20 single family residential to RS10 single family residential. Mr. Ward.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. Here is a general location of the property under consideration. Here is a site map of the property. There's an aerial view. I have a couple of zoomed out site maps as well. Another aerial view of the property. There's our existing zoning. Mr. Joe Nichols, on behalf of Thomas Cooper, submitted a request to rezone from RS20 single family residential to RS10 single family residential, one parcel located at 2730 Buck Mountain Road. The rezoning request was taken for study by the Planning Commission in September, and an action was taken in November on this item. The subject property is identified as parcel 13 on tax map 52 and contains approximately 25.36 acres. The property is currently zoned RS20, as are adjacent properties to the east, south, and west. The property is bordered by the corporate limits to the north. The rezoning application was submitted to allow for moderate density residential development. The RS20 district is intended to provide low density single family residential environment where public wastewater services are or are not available. A minimum land area of 20,000 square feet per dwelling unit is required. The RS10 district is intended to provide a low to moderate density single family residential environment in areas where public wastewater services are available, with a minimum land area of 10,000 square feet per dwelling unit. Low pressure sanitary sewer is in the vicinity of the property, approximately 1,700 linear feet west from the western edge of the subject property, located at the intersection of Buck Mountain Road and 18 Grand Drive. The Water Quality Control Department received council approval on a bid for a sewer extension project, bringing sewer to the Buck Mountain Drive Valley Road intersection at the November 3rd, 2022 meeting. A cost share agreement between the city of Cookeville and the property owner to extend sewer to the subject property was signed on November 11th, 2022, and payment in full was received from the property owner for the sewer extension cost share project. The city council approved this agreement at the November 17th, 2022 council meeting. The subject property has approximately 1,750 linear feet of street frontage on Buck Mountain Road. Buck Mountain Road is classified as a major collector street. Traffic counts from April and May of 2022 at the intersection of Buck Mountain Road and Dry Valley Road, South Dry Valley Road, provide an annual average daily traffic count of 3,609 vehicles per day. On Dry Valley Road, north of Buck Mountain Road, 4,177 vehicles per day on Buck Mountain Road, east of Dry Valley Road, 3,162 on South Dry Valley Road, south of Buck Mountain Road, and 5,376 on Buck Mountain Road, west of Dry Valley Road. The planning department did request crash data from the police department. It showed a total of 20 vehicle crashes on Dry Valley Road and Buck Mountain Road from January 1st, 2017 to October 16th, 2022. The top causes for these accidents were following improperly, inattentive, eating, reading, talking, etc., and reckless, negligent driving. Of the 20 accidents recorded, 4 accidents involved an injury, with a total of 5 individuals being injured and no fatalities recorded. 11 of the 20 crashes occurred on Buck Mountain Road east of the intersection. No portion of the subject property has any indication of sinkhole retention areas, according to available GIS data, nor is any portion of the subject property located within a special flood hazard area. Excuse me, according to the flood insurance rate maps. Mr. Nichols, who submitted the request with Clinton Engineering, provided conceptual development plans for the subject property. The last version that was submitted to the planning department depicted 78 lots for single-family residential development potentially on the property. That is just a conceptual plan to give you guys an idea of what they've discussed trying to do with the property here. The future land use concept element of the Cookeville 2030 plan depicts this area as best suited for lower density residential and rural residential development. At the time the plan was prepared, public wastewater services were not available to the subject property. This property is located in an area that was annexed by the city in 2000. It is noted in the 2030 plan that to accommodate anticipated growth, significant portions of land area annexed since 2000 will have to be rezoned when the appropriate infrastructure is provided. Oh, here I have some aerial views of the property taken from our drone. These are looking back to the east. That's the eastern boundary of the property. This is looking back to the north, looking back to the northwest, looking back to the northeast. So this rezoning request was unanimously recommended by the Planning Commission, as recommended by the Planning Department. I recommend approval. I'm happy to answer any questions the council has.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. At this time, we will open the public hearing portion for this agenda item. Do I have anyone who would like to speak on 7A? Yes, if you would, when you approach the podium, let us know if you live in the city or county and limit your comments to 3 minutes. We've got a timer, so if it goes off, just wrap up your comments.
Thank you. I live in the Putnam County area and
Oh, and tell us your name too, if you don't mind.
Sherry and Gentry. I'm concerned about the rapid growth. We had all experienced outages during Christmas and Christmas Eve. Just while we were cooking, we were told every 30 minutes our electricity would go out. If our power capacity is so bad, why are we growing so fast? I think we need to slow down. I'm sorry, we do. We need to slow down, take a look at what we have, our utilities, our land. How many houses are they going to put on this property? I'm concerned about that. I lived in Mount Juliet and saw what happened to that city when they grew too fast. When you have brownouts and blackouts, it destroys your refrigerator. My home alone went through two. They're expensive. ACs get damaged. Your computer, you can kind of cover with little gadgets that will help you with that. But how many other things? Can we afford 2 refrigerators? I couldn't. Don't want to have to do it again. I think that it would behoove us all just to take a minute, look at what we have, and then make a decision about going forward. Slow it down. It's okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who'd like to speak on this item? Yeah, go ahead, parts of podium. Again, yeah, if you'll give us your name, city or county, and limit your comment to 3 minutes, please.
I'm Ralph Mullins. I live on South Dry Valley Road. I represent the Mullins family that has a large farm out there. We've been there since 1943. And that part of the city is a very beautiful rural setting. And I hate to see that change with high density housing that we're talking about. I think 78 to 80 units on 25 acres is way too much. I think the problem with transportation or the roads out there is pretty prevalent from the accident reports. Traffic has just grown tremendously with a lot of development up on top of Buck Mountain. And I'm not sure Buck Mountain Road can handle that, or Dry Valley. Dry Valley Road, of course, is a major connector from Allgood to the interstate. And I think that just changes the flavor of what we have out in East Cookeville. And I hate to see that changing. The other thing that concerns me a little bit is the sewer situation out there. As Mr. Mills knows, our property was taken into the city in the year 2000. That was 22 years ago, and I still have no sewer. So I have a little problem with going out there and spending city's money to hook up 80 new customers. We're all sitting there on most of South Dry Valley Road without sewer. I know the north end of that is supposed to get sewer down to the pump station pretty soon. I have not had any assurance at all that we would be getting sewer anytime soon. So that's my major objections to passing this in the form that it's in. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who'd like to speak? Yes.
I'm Jim Baden. I live in the county. I live about a half mile from this area. I'm mainly concerned about the traffic. Buck Mountain Road is heavily traveled. There is no infrastructure on the roads for such a development with pouring more traffic into it. I think it's a safety issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Oh, yeah.
Good evening, council. My name is Sam Blink. I'm an attorney on behalf of the landowner, Thomas Cooper. Basically, he's requesting to rezone this from RS20 to RS10, which is half-acre lots to quarter-acre lots, in essence. The way I see it, this is a perfect parcel for development. The location to begin with, it's inside city limits. It's close to nearby schools. The all good schools are roughly 3 minutes away, and Northeast Elementary School is 5 minutes away. Downtown is only 5 to 10 minutes away as well. This rezoning request also complies with the Cookeville 2030 plan. Already in the plan, this parcel is labeled at least partway as lower density residential, which is in essence the quarter-acre lot that we're requesting. And then the plan provides that to accommodate growth, significant portions of the land area will have to be rezoned when the appropriate infrastructure is provided. Here, the infrastructure, namely the sewage, has already been approved. Some other points from the 2030 plan I'd like to note is that in chapter 5, the study found that there was a strong local community demand for low to moderately priced single-family housing. This is exactly what would be provided. I also understand that there was a recent article in a local newspaper describing the lack of affordable public housing here. And this would be solving the problem, reducing the lot size from half acre to quarter acre. In chapter 7 of the plan, it discusses that growth is necessary and that the city wants to encourage growth. They estimate that 33% of growth at the time the plan was written to 2030 would happen for the city. In order to do so, they would need 2,500 acres, and they wanted to encourage that with land that had less natural restrictions and that had the infrastructure provided. This land has that. We've heard tonight also that traffic is a concern, but that's just not provided for in the facts. There were five accidents or 20 accidents in 5 years. That's not a major concern. The street that it's on is a collector street intended to carry large amounts of traffic. And again, the 2030 plan prepares for traffic concerns, providing that development should restrict access points for large traffic flow and safety. Well, the development that was up on the screen only had 2 access points, so it does have restrictive access points. And we've also heard about the sewage concern. Well, the sewage has already been approved, so that concern is a moot point at this point. So basically, to conclude, I think that it's a great location. I think that it complies with the 2030 plan by providing for more affordable housing, and that the concerns that we heard tonight lack merit.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this agenda item? Yes. Oh, yeah.
Did it once already. Can I speak to his point?
No, yeah, this is just for the public hearing. We don't have any discussion between speakers, so yes. Anyone else who would like to speak? Okay, if that, yes, okay.
My name is Tom Cooper. I'm the owner of the subject property. And I think the most obvious thing right now is that there is a crisis in housing. And true, interest rates have softened up a little bit of late, but not significantly, in the cost of raw materials to build. There's a crisis in housing right now. There's no doubt about it. I remember on December 28th, there was an article in the Herald Citizen saying that one of the major problems that we're facing in Putnam County is the explosive growth and the scarcity of affordable lots to build on. Well, a gentleman that is on the opposition, he called me and I asked him, I said, well, what size do you think would be appropriate in there? And he said, oh, 1.5 acres. Well, if I have to put 1.5 acres lots, trust me, they are not going to be reasonably priced lots. And they'll be so expensive, I won't be able to sell them. I'm not a developer. I don't have heavy equipment where I can go in and dig the trenches and lay the sewage back into the property myself. I have to hire all that, and it is expensive. And the point that I'm trying to make is we can't have huge lots out there and provide medium to low cost lots. It's just not going to happen. So, and initially, Mr. Nichols and I, when we spoke, we considered, well, could we go like with RS5 or something like they have out by the golf course? And we both decided, no, this area doesn't call for that. And I mean, when I was a kid, when I was 7 or 8 years old, we could sit out on that porch and watch 7 or 8 cars come by in the night, in the evening. It's not like that anymore. That area is not the country anymore. That area is in the city limits. I mean, that pretty much sums it up. I don't know what else to say.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time.
Do we have anyone else who would like to speak?
Are we allowed to ask Mr. Cooper any questions?
Not during this discussion. No, you can discuss afterwards. Or if you need to make a statement. Okay. Okay, seeing no one else wants to speak, I will close the public hearing portion of this meeting. Is there a motion on 7A?
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Councilman Gilbert. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Eldridge. Any discussion? Okay, all vote.
All votes correct. 5 yes, motion carries.
Thank you. 7B, hold a public hearing and consider on first reading ordinance 023-0102, rezoning of one parcel located at 1068 East 10th Street, tax map 040L, Group K, parcel 013.01, from CN Neighborhood Commercial to CL Local Commercial. Mr. Ward.
Thank you, Mayor and Council members. Here's a general location of this item under consideration. Here is a site map of the property. And here's an aerial view. And here we have our existing zoning. The subject property identified as parcel 13.01 on tax map 40L Group K contains approximately 1.3 acres. It is currently zoned CN Neighborhood Commercial, as are adjacent properties to the northeast and south. The property is also bordered by CL Local Commercial to the south and west. The rezoning application was submitted to increase the options for permitted uses within the district, specifically multifamily housing. The CN district is intended for single and two-family residential dwellings, small and moderate-sized offices, personal and business services, and limited general retail businesses serving nearby residential neighborhoods and the general population of the city. All non-residential structures in the CN district are required to be compatible with nearby residential structures in terms of scale and appearance. The maximum square footage of individual developments is also restricted. Large-scale commercial or service activities designed or intended to draw users from an area beyond the immediate environs of the city are prohibited. The CL district is intended for small and moderate-sized offices, personal and business services, and general retail businesses serving the general population of the city. The maximum square footage of individual developments is restricted and determined by street classification. Large-scale commercial or service activities designed or intended to draw users from an area beyond the immediate environs of the city are also prohibited in the CL zone. Both CN and CL districts allow townhome development as a use permitted upon review. The CL district increases the maximum density allowed on the property. The CN district requires 5,000 square feet, a minimum of 5,000 square feet per dwelling unit, which would allow 11 units on the subject property. The CL district requires 3,000 square feet per dwelling unit, and it allows for a total of 18 units for an increase of 7 units. The property is, however, encumbered by parking and stormwater detention for the adjacent properties within this development. The requested rezoning would extend the CL district east along East 10th Street. According to the petitioner, the subject property has been on the market for some time, and rezoning to CL would permit additional uses not allowed in the CN district. The future land use concept element of the Cookeville 2030 plan depicts this area as best suited for local commercial or mixed use commercial residential development. Multifamily and townhome residential development is compliant with this land use designation in the CN zoning district, the CL zoning district. And we've got some aerial views of this. You can see this lot does have an area of parking on it, and it's also includes some stormwater retention that serves the existing commercial development to the north and the CVS drugstore and some of the townhomes that were built on the northeast portion of this corner. That's looking back to the south. You can see there's existing townhouse development that's adjacent to it to the west. So this rezoning was unanimously recommended by the planning commission, as recommended by the planning department. I recommend approval.
Thank you. At this time, we will open the public hearing portion of this meeting for item 7B. Is there anyone who'd like to speak on this agenda item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing portion. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Motion made by Councilman Baji. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Eldridge. Any discussion? All vote.
All votes correct. 5 yes, motion carries.
Thank you. 7C, consider authorizing the city manager to execute an option agreement with Putnam County for the purchase of approximately 92.54 acres on Old Bridge Road. Mr. Mills.
Mayor, council members, and as you stated on the agenda item, that Putnam County's requested that we enter into an agreement with them to allow them an option to purchase the properties depicted on the map here, which is about 92.5 acres. It's located on Old Bridge and Old Sparta Roads. In August of last year, the city purchased from Hope Church, which was formerly Trinity Assembly, approximately 109.2 acres, which consisted of parcel 67 and 117 on tax map 83. We purchased the property for $30,000 per acre. With the closing cost, the total price was a little over $3.2 million. The primary reason the city looked at purchasing this property was for the potential location of an aquatic facility. The plans that we had done last year indicated we would need about 15 acres for an aquatic facility to include both indoor and outdoor facilities. At the time we purchased this, we were approached by county officials indicating that the county might be interested in purchasing a proportion we didn't need for an aquatic facility as a potential location for a school. Another potential use for the remaining portion of the property, in case if the county didn't purchase, would be as a public park. So the previous council agreed to proceed with the purchase. The agreement before the council would grant the county the option to purchase all parcel 67 and the portion of parcel 117, which is located east of Old Sparta Road, for a period of 5 years. The city would retain 16.6 acres located west of Old Sparta Road, which is the remaining portion of parcel 117. John, if you go on to the next slide, there's a list of bullets there. Thank you. As I said, the options are for a period of 5 years, but it does include a possibility of an additional 1-year extension if a future council so chooses to grant. The county would be required to pay the city $5,000 per year for each year of the option. If the county decides not to purchase at any point, we retain all monies paid to the city, which they also have the alternate of paying $25,000 up front instead of the $5,000 per annum. The purchase price would be $30,078 per acre, which reflects the actual cost to the city when we purchased, which included closing costs and so forth. So the actual price we paid is all we'd be asking for on this, plus accrued interest at 5% annum from the date of the execution of the agreement until the closing of the purchase. The 5% annum is what it's going to cost us through our bond issue to cover the payments for this property. I'm going to recommend approval of this, but I do want to note that I was a little concerned with some of the comments I heard from the county commissioner that we were trying to hold them up on the price on this. So we're asking exactly what we paid for this. Also, some comment about the 16 acres. If they want us to take another 16 acres, we'll take that. So I think we're being more than generous here and more than fair. I just want to point that out. I didn't think that was really, I think we were, well, anyway, I just didn't like the comments. And also saying, Randy did say this, the county executive, county mayor, and we'd be glad to keep the property if the county doesn't want it. So, but I would recommend approval of the agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Mills. Is there a motion on this item? Motion made by Vice Mayor Eldridge. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Baji. Any discussion? All vote.
All votes correct. 5 yes, motion carries.
Thank you. 7D, consider authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement for the use of a portion of the city property identified as parcel 2002 on map 53I, Group D. Mr. Mills.
Mayor and council members, in August of last year, the city purchased a portion of the property owned by Sheila Carr located at the southwest intersection of West Stevens Street and South Willow Avenue. This acquisition was needed to complete planned improvements to West Stevens Street, which includes the provision of a center turn lane at its intersection with South Willow. The portion of the property that we bought, located on that is the current Country Bumpkin retail establishment. As part of the agreement, when we purchased this, we did swap some property, include some additional property so that the Country Bumpkin could be demolished and rebuilt on the same location. And the goal here with the property owner in the city was to allow this business to stay in operation. They're giving up their building, which we pay them for, but our goal was to keep them whole and to keep them in business. And as a part of that, we also purchased from Stevens Street Baptist Church. And I want to say what a great partner Stevens Street Baptist Church has been through this whole process with us in terms of trying to get the West Stevens Street improved. We did purchase from them about a half acre of property that's adjacent to where the Country Bumpkin will be reconstructed. They need to be on our property as they're doing the construction. So this is what this agreement does. It allows David Matson and HC Homes, who's the contractor for rebuilding or reconstructing the Country Bumpkin building, allows them to be on our property during the time of the reconstruction, which will expire October 1st, 2023. It also requires that we have a certificate of insurance provided by Mr. Matson or HC Homes LLC, naming the city as an additional insured. It also requires that the property be restored to its pre-construction condition once the project is completed. And I recommend for approval of your agreement, this agreement.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Councilman Baji and seconded by Councilman Gilbert. Any discussion? All vote.
All votes correct. 5 yes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. 7E, consider resolution R 23-0101, amending the personal policies and procedure manuals. Mr. Sells.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This resolution that we are going to ask you to approve this evening deals with the situation concerning personal time off, of which currently there is no provision for that in the personnel policies and procedures manual. From time to time, we have employees who are typically employed here less than 5 years who find themselves with no vacation time available because they've used their vacation. A circumstance may arise in which they are in dire need of time off from work, but because they have no vacation time, they cannot take that time. So we're proposing this resolution and addition to the personnel policies and procedures manual that would allow employees who have no vacation time accrued to convert up to 40 hours of their accrued sick time into what would be known as personal time off. Now, this time is predicated on the fact that they, in fact, have no accrued vacation time available. And it's also predicated on the approval of their supervisor or department director, just as vacation time currently is. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have, but if you have none, I'm asking you to approve this resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Sells. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Eldridge, second. Councilman Baji.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All vote.
All votes correct. 5 yes, motion carries.
Thank you. 7F, consider approval of compensation salary study. Mr. Sells.
Yes, several months ago, we began discussing the need to conduct another salary survey, compensation salary survey. It's been over 12 years since one had been completed for the city of Cookeville. So in December, we advertised a request for proposal and we received 3 bids for that project. And on the screen and in your paperwork are the 3 companies that submitted bids for this particular salary survey. We used 7 selection criteria. And when I say we, there was a committee of 4 that evaluated each of these proposals and rated them accordingly to these 7 factors. And it was our determination that the best request, or rather the best bid, was submitted by the company of Burris Thomas and Associates. On the screen and again in your books is the tentative project timetable that Burris Thompson Associates had submitted. And as you can see, they are proposing to complete their task in a relatively brief amount of time. Of course, we're a little bit behind, so that we need to be extended by a few weeks, but it's a very workable time frame. And if you agree with this assessment and you agree that we do need this compensation salary survey, and you will again agree with our recommendation, we're asking you to approve the city manager to enter into a contract with Burris Thomas and Associates.
Thank you. Is there a motion? Motion made by Councilman Baji. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Walker. Any discussion?
Mayor, if I could, I want to note that while we've made, I believe, significant strides in the last 3 years in terms of pay for employees, we felt like this study was particularly needed because we know we do have certain positions that we definitely are still short in terms of salaries, including our police and fire. And we needed this study to see what other communities are doing. We also have some technical positions that we know we're struggling to compete with. And it will help us to have this study done. So we will have this information when we prepare our budget for the coming year, because we really want to try to include that for this coming year. So I'd appreciate your approval of this.
Thank you. Any more discussion? All vote?
All votes correct. 5 yes, motion carries.
Again, thank you.
7G, consider approval of court software, including ancillary services from Tyler Technologies, utilizing the Sourcewell Purchasing Cooperative. Ms. Emmel.
Mayor and council members, our city court has been using local government Citrus court software since 2012. The software is now outdated, inefficient, and not very user-friendly. Local government has not upgraded the software in all the 10 years that we have used it. Here this evening, we are requesting your approval to purchase new court software. We are recommending the purchase of Tyler Technologies court software, Municipal Justice Encode, using the Sourcewell purchasing contract. Many cities and towns in Tennessee use the software. I put a list of them there on your screen. We actually spoke to clerks at Cleveland, Sevierville, Germantown, Crossville, and White House about the software, and they all had very positive comments about it. I had provided you all with a detailed quote on Monday or Tuesday, and we went over it, and it should be in your books, but I've summarized it here on the screen. The upfront cost of the software license is $48,828. That's after the Sourcewell discount. The annual maintenance will be required, as with all software, that will cover maintenance fees, support, and upgrades in the years going forward. That's going to start at $12,207 and then may increase in year 3 and beyond. The one-time cost for data conversion, setup, and project management by Tyler is estimated to be $52,570 based on their expertise and experience. If they run into major problems and expect to exceed that amount, they will inform us before proceeding. White House, Tennessee, one of the ones that we had spoken to, clerks, they use the same software that we currently use, and they had no problems converting from Citrus to this new software. So I don't anticipate any problems there. In terms of hardware, we will be hosting the software in-house virtually. So the only hardware we need is a signature pad for defendants to sign documents. And while the quote included the cost for one, we're going to request your approval tonight to get 2 pads as recommended, and that's a good idea. So that's included there. So to summarize, we're requesting to spend $102,298 in one-time upfront cost on this project. And then also, as part of the software, Tyler will provide a hosted online portal. This will allow for real-time payments and notifications. We can send text notifications to remind people of their court dates. We can also turn on features to allow defendants to either enter a plea, upload compliance documents like missing insurance documents, and other things. The online payment processing through the portal by Tyler will require fees that will be passed on to the payer. The technology fee is $1 for payments under $100, $2 for payments over $100, as well as credit card processing fees of 3.95%, a $2.50 minimum. The city will not receive any of those fees. Those will go directly to Tyler to cover the cost of operating the portal and the credit card fees. If somebody doesn't want to pay the fees, they can always mail their check to the city court at the police headquarters or come in and pay in person with cash or check or money order. This software will simplify and streamline our court process. Tyler will create an interface, an import interface that will work with our e-citation software, so citations will import automatically. They will customize the automated processing of cases for the city's specific kinds and criterias. Reporting capabilities will include required state reports. The document management system will keep all records electronically with easy retrieval. They also offer features that we can add on later if we desire, such as virtual court and collections interface. Of course, there'll be fees for those, but if somewhere down the road we want to add those features, those are available too. I'd be happy to answer any questions, but respectfully request your approval of Tyler Technology Court Software.
Thank you. Is there a motion? Motion made by Councilman Walker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Baji. Any discussion? All vote.
All votes correct. 5 yes, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. 7H, consider approval to purchase sanitation carts utilizing the Sourcewell purchasing contract. Mr. Mayo.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We would like to purchase 400 sanitation carts from the Sourcewell purchasing contract. Total purchase price for these carts, including shipping, is $28,605. This is a budgeted item, and I respectfully request your approval.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Councilman Walker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Baji. Any discussion? All vote.
All votes correct. 5 yes, motion carries.
Thank you. 7I, consider approval of change order number 2 for the East 10th Street widening project from Wilson Avenue to Chocolate Drive. Mr. Mayo.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This change order will cover the additional work resulting in an overage of the contract bid price for the 10th Street Phase 1 widening project. These items include additional labor for retrofitting 2 drainage structures, additional concrete flat work in the pedestrian island, extending the riprap ditch east of Doris Drive, and the majority of this amount being the additional asphalt binder mix and milling to ensure a smooth surface for the over top of the existing asphalt on 10th Street that we did not want to demolish. The bid price for the project was $1,174,297.35. The final total, including retainage, is $1,230,324. This results in an overage amount of $56,026.65. I respectfully request your approval and be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Eldridge. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Walker. Any discussion? All vote.
All votes correct. 5 yes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
7J, consider action on the property at 545 Woodmont Circle. Mr. Turner.
Mayor and members of the council, this is the property at Woodmont Circle, the house that we've talked about a few times. The realtor's contract expires today. So we need to do different things. We've got the options here. We can consider a current offer. We have one offer on the table, and then talk about the realtor services, extending it, or internet auction, or sealed bids. The current offer that we have is for $230,000, and it has contingencies of a home inspection, appraisal, meeting the offer, and financial approval. So we will need to consider that, whether we accept that, counter, or reject it. And then the other options that we discussed was doing like an internet auction. Talked with Lee J. Amanette with Amanette Eagle Auction, and Sam Tays with Tays Auction Services. And if we go that route, would recommend Tays Auction Service. There have that there would be a 10% buyer's premium if the house sells. If we don't do absolute and we reject that, I do have a contract from him now, and that price would be $5,500 is what the price would be if we do a no sale. And talk about the sealed bids as well. So I don't really have a recommendation. like I say, the offer is 230. And we discussed sort of in the work session the other day, the different ways to go.
So we'll need a motion to open the discussion, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So do I have a motion on considering action on the property?
Motion to act on this.
Okay. By Councilman Gilbert. Is there a second?
I'll second.
No, second by everyone. We'll go. So now time for discussion on what our options are.
Does everybody understand how we came to own this house?
If you want to refresh everyone's memory. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet, like a history lesson.
It can be yours.
We're
You have a cash.
selling it now.
It's yours.
The house had a sewer issue and as part of a settlement, we ended up purchasing the house. It's the way to, I guess, best way to summarize it, Barry, is that correct?
Yes, we actually had overflow into the house, paid a settlement. And we had a second overflow into the house. And as part of that, we bought the house. We put it on a sewer pump station so that now the overflow would not go into the house. The house has not been totally repaired. All the damage, anything that contact with sewer has been cleaned up and everything. So I mean, the house is a fixer-upper. And that is one thing that we've had to educate everybody that's come and looked on it. How did the city end up with a house?
There's lots of upside.
Yeah. As Ronnie always said, it's got good bones.
Yeah.
So we've tried the real estate market, tried to listen with an agent. That's not really worked out. So I recommend you look at one of these other options going forward.
I'd be happy to say, I think the auction route is a good route, especially one that is, open to the market, advertised well. My experience with auction companies is they take good pictures. They show what it is online, it's sold as is, where it is. And it's probably the fairest way to market the property and show it to everyone. Last thing I'd like to see is somebody submit a quiet bid or something and get something that they didn't understand they were getting. And so I think with a good marketable auction is probably the fairest way to transfer this back to the public or to a specific party of the public.
I tend to agree. I have to agree with that, with the offer through the realtor sounds good, but the contingencies right there.
Yeah, maybe down the road before we know whether it falls through or not.
Based on the history of the property too,
And we've had this property for how long again? Since last 2020, is it 22 or 21?
Rotting's still working for us. So
Yeah, so that was 21.
Yeah, so I think it was I've got it here, but I think it was about April when we declared it surplus.
We've had it on.
So we've had it actually about 2 years, but we didn't declare it surplus till last year.
So I think we tried with the market route and that has not gotten us the results that we wanted. So,
Yeah.
so do we need to make a motion for which action item?
Motion.
Okay.
Motion to take action.
Yeah, to take action. Okay.
I would like to make a motion to amend the motion to take action.
To which action item?
Two.
Can we go back a slide?
Yeah.
Okay, put that in here. Consider a internet auction services company to, or a local auction company to sell the house for us.
And that probably needs to include rejecting the offer we have
And
currently.
reject the current offer on that.
And what's some stipulation about the council has to approve the bid amount? And so we could circumvent that, or we could say council approved.
Let me try. No, we're in the office.
I know this is tricky. Yeah.
For sales of real, the council has to approve sale of real estate. It's just hard to approve a sale if you don't know what the price is. But that being said, if Mr. Councilman Walker wants to make a motion, it ought to, and we ought to go ahead and type all these loose ends and say, is it an absolute auction? Is it an auction with reserve? Sealed bids would really, the city could spend what it wanted to on advertisement. And then if you didn't like the sealed bids, you could always go back to an absolute auction and pay somebody to do it. But we need to go ahead and tie up the loose ends rather than just say, I recommend retired internet auction because that doesn't give you the terms or anything about the sale. So I think the motion right now is to take action. And so I think you need to
Vote on that.
fine tune that motion
Okay.
as to what action it is you want to take. Otherwise, it's deferred.
Okay.
So if he wants to amend his motion, he can amend it. And whoever seconded it has to agree.
On the amended.
That, and then you can vote on the motion as
As amended.
you're amending the motion. That's why we have this book on Robert's Rules of Order, right?
Yeah, right there, Alex got it, yeah. Yeah.
So give you an opportunity to.
I even thought about this, but I think there's places in the world for auctioneers and the marketing, the points you made. So I'm inclined to agree with that. So coach me through this. So I would like to respectfully amend my motion and change it to, make a motion to sell it by way of the internet auction company as recommended, the company recommended.
Yeah, Tay's auction,
Tay's
built in auction, yes.
Well, let's reject the bid. The motion is to reject the current offer. And as an alternate to that, go with Tay's Auction Company at an absolute auction via the internet or any other means they use at their disposal to market it and so on.
Sold as is.
Sold as is, where is.
I think you got it. Now, whoever amended that motion has to agree to second that amended motion.
We need a second on the amended motion.
Well, whoever seconded the first motion, that's to agree with this amendment.
Oh, who seconded the
Who
motion?
seconded?
Councilman Walker actually made.
I
the first
second that.
motion.
Who made the second? Yeah. I'll call the names out.
think I made the motion initially, and then I think we got a little confused here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he made it.
Councilman.
So Councilman Walker, you just made that motion.
And then Councilman Gilbert tweaked it.
All right, so let's just start over.
Okay.
I like Officer Councilman Walker, amend your motion. Okay.
And then one second. And then we second.
Agree with the second. All right. And then the mayor can call for a vote.
And then we'll vote. Okay.
It's okay to pick a auction company at this time. I mean, you can agree with what. I agree with what was said by Mr. Gilbert. Just prior, that's my motion. So the motion is to reject the current offer by the real estate agency to retain Tay's auction, to do an internet auction, absolute auction, as is, where is, and report back to the council and pay the city the money they get from the auction. Is that correct? That's correct.
Need a second.
Would you agree with that?
Yes, sir. Second.
You have a second. All right, now.
So there's a motion and a second? Yes. Any further discussion? No. Okay, all vote.
All votes correct. 5 yes, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your work on that.
Thank y'all.
Then like you said,
Yeah.
if I in the audience wants to look at this house, you can start there.
Yeah, Mr. Turner, yeah, real estate agent over here, yeah.
Do your due diligence.
Yeah. Thank you for your work on that. 7K, consider authorizing the city manager to execute a sewer upgrade agreement with Aaron Bernhardt on Spring Street at Cedar Avenue. Mr. Turner.
This is a location map, where a developer, this is over close to Ralph's Donuts, is where sort of he's doing the development. The red line shown on this map is the line that we're asking him to pay for. We're looking about going all the way back to Walnut. Some of the colors don't show up too good on this screen. I think they will on yours. The blue line is one option that we're looking at. And then there's sort of a yellowish line going behind those buildings. It's the way we're actually looking harder. But the red line is the line that we're talking about replacing or talking about the developer paying for. This existing sewer, that little section that was red there, is undersized for the development that they're proposing to put over there. It's the only section that is 8-inch. Everything else downstream of that is 10-inch or larger. The estimated cost to relay that line is $50,000. The developers agreed to pay for that. the city's doing the engineering because like I said, we're looking at the other downstream lines and wanting to incorporate those into this job. So I'd recommend your approval.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Councilman Baji and seconded by Councilman Walker. Any discussion? All vote.
All votes correct. 5 yes, motion carries.
Thank you. At this time, that concludes the agenda portion of our meeting. We will open it up to the public hearing, the citizens hearing. If anyone would like to speak to the city council on non-agenda items, you may come to the podium. Same rules apply. If you would give us your name, 3-minute statement, you are allowed to, when you hear the timer, please wrap up. But again, these are on non-agenda items that we have not discussed and that were not previously discussed in this meeting. So is there anyone who would like to speak to the council on non-agenda items? Okay.
Thank you, Mayor Wheaton and City Council, Mr. Bills and Mr. Rader. Thank you for allowing me to address an issue in our city. My name is Scott McKinney. I serve as lead pastor at First Baptist Church, Cookeville, Tennessee. I stand tonight representing a larger body of churches of like faith and practice, and collectively, we represent over 10,000 members that live here in our city. The reason we're here tonight is because there is within the 2021 Tennessee Code a section listed Title 7, Chapter 51, Part 14, which is titled Adult-Oriented Establishments, which prohibits activity including but not limited to male and female impersonators or similar entertainers from holding events within our city and within the state of Tennessee if they are within 1,000 feet of family-oriented places. The code states child care facilities, private, public, or charter schools, public parks, family recreation centers, a residence, or a place of worship. This law was put in place to create a buffer for activities deemed lewd and inappropriate from family-oriented areas. Also note that there are 2 lawsuits in our state right now which name the city of Cookeville as being a part of having drag shows. And these lawsuits originated because the city failed to uphold the law, and they are presented by the members of the city. I mean, people who live in the city. So we're here to ask the council to uphold the current law that is in place. Our city owns and manages 2 parks that are located within 1,000 feet of the permitted business named Hicks Farm Brewery. First Baptist Church, along with Engrafted Word, are within 1,000 feet of Hicks Farm Brewery. And homes are within 1,000 feet of Hicks Farm Brewery. Actually, First Baptist is less than 400 feet from Hicks Farm Brewery. This Sunday is an event that is scheduled for a drag show. And this Sunday is not a one-time event, but is a continuation of a violation of state law where UC Pride plans to hold once again at Hicks Farm Brewery an event that is unlawful, titled Drag Me to Brunch. As listed in the advertisement by them, it is a PG event insinuating that children are welcome to the brewery for a drag show because parental guidance is only for guiding children. We are asking that you uphold, or that you hold to the groups that support these activities and the businesses that facilitate these activities liable by enforcing the law. We understand that this ask is not without difficulties, and there are competing worldviews before us today. However, immediate action is necessary to uphold certain law or the current law. History reveals that lawlessness brings unwanted and unwarranted results. Edmund Burke once said, "The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing." Now, ladies and gentlemen, please hear me say this. When the laws of this great land are not upheld, various forms of inappropriate and lewd activity will persist. We thank you for your diligent work to protect our future and the future of our community. You have been elected to serve our community, and we value you greatly. Collectively, we stand together, hoping we can make Cookeville city limits a great place to live and work. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that.
I'm sorry, I didn't give you this. I've got the lawsuits available for y'all. I have 7 copies.
Oh, gosh.
But if y'all want to ask them.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak on non-agenda items tonight? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Luann Nicosia. I live here in Cookeville. My husband and I escaped California 5 years ago. We were looking for a town, a city, a state that kind of held faith, family, freedom, law enforcement, as a high priority. When we came here, I remember I looked up on the hill and I saw the cross. And then there was a billboard that said, "Welcome to Cookeville, where we still honor our law enforcement or respect them." And I was like, okay, we're home. This is good. Shortly thereafter, I was in shock to see the drag queens starting to come to town. First, they started with the library, reading to the children, squatting down, talking to them, just complete inappropriate. My husband and I and some of the church people talked to them. They finally left. Now they're in town. I mean, they go to Wildwood Park. We've got videos of just dancing inappropriately, hugging children, just things. I mean, I felt like I was back in California. I'm like, how can this happen in public to the children? I know they have their places to go, but to children as a parent, I'm like, no way. And now they are starting the drag queen shows. They've got one at Hicks, which you already know about. They had some at Tennessee Tech 3 months ago, which was shameful. I mean, people call me from California and said, "Is your college having a drag queen show where children are?" I was like so embarrassed. I couldn't believe it. So I just wanted to let you guys know that currently Senator Jack Johnson he's putting in, they're filing in legislature on 1110, an adult cabaret performance bill, which should help. It clarifies things more. Jack Johnson's SB03 is the Senate one. Representative Todd in the House is doing HB 009. Senator Paul Bailey is supporting this. And, hopefully this will help, but apparently we already have something in the city that would help shut it down before these. They're currently, I'm going to take time off and go down to Nashville and sit in and support that. So I'm just saying, please help us protect our children in this community. Let's not California, Tennessee. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Do you have anyone else who'd like to speak?
Thank you, Council. Pastor Merle Miller from Monterey. The question is, how did we ever get to this point we are today? A line should have been drawn a long time ago in this nation. Now there seems to be no line at all when it comes to decency. This is happening on your watch and my watch. This agenda is out to defile your grandkids and my grandkids. Make no mistake about it. Scripture clearly states that the day would come when men would call evil good and good evil. We're there. May God help us all. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak?
Kurt Settles, pastor at Cookeville Primitive Baptist Church and leader of an organization called We the People TN. Just simply having spoken with most of you in the past, I want to remind you of your obligation. Your obligation is not just to the people of the city. Your obligation is to the Lord. Most of you in our conversations proclaim faith in God. And I want to just remind you of what the scripture says in Romans 13, specifically the section that says this: "For he is the minister of God to thee for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid, for he beareth not the sword in vain, for he is a minister of God, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. The thing that we're seeing in our city is evil. There's no other word for it. It is evil according to a standard, a foundation that is laid in the word of God. You are that minister of good. You have been given that role by God, and you are accountable to God for it. That word minister is exactly the same word that's used to describe pastors, to describe shepherds. It is a ministerial role that you have. And we, the people, are going to hold you accountable to it. We expect you to use the sword to rebuke evil. That's all I have for you.
Anyone else would like to speak?
My name is Bud Clapper. I'm just a guy and not a pastor or anything like that, but I appreciate those who are. I just have, I guess, a logistical question. If there's a law in the books that say there is, what's the problem? Why wouldn't the city take action to enforce that law? That's all I was wondering.
Yeah.
They don't have a cabaret license.
Pardon me?
They don't have a cabaret license. They really does not have one.
No, and I
No.
will say, we have heard y'all and we appreciate everyone coming here and the support, the outshowing. We know that we need to take a look at ordinances, and we are. And at this time, that's all we have that we can discuss right now, is that we know we need to take a look at things, and we are.
Okay.
So-
And this is coming up, was it Sunday?
Yeah, Sunday.
Do you have the ability to review it and make a decision and take action by Sunday?
We need to defer to legal, or? No, we do not. We do not have the ability to, by Sunday, to do anything. That's why we know we need to take a look at ordinances, and that's what we're doing. It's been brought to our attention. So.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak on yes. Yes.
So the park, Dogwood Park, and the amphitheater there, and the library, are they close enough to the churches? We've got all those churches in that area that they would be denied access. So that's already on the books, right? Park, I mean, we need to measure. So if that's the case, then it seems like it's a done deal.
Thank you. Anyone else who would like to discuss or has something to state to the council? Okay, seeing none, we do have one more item. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Sorry.
My name is Scott Parkinson, and I understood. So I heard that there was some questions about the current law, and I understand that the current interpretation of state law and city ordinances is that these things that are happening in our city are not a violation. And I know you guys have been told that, and we've been told that. And I think I would just like, on behalf of all these people here, officially request that you review and implement a constitutional law that would prohibit any type of sexualized performances and dancing of any gender, of any sex, in any way from happening in our city as much as you're able.
Wow, that'd be great.
We trust you to protect us, and we love you guys. We really do. I think I can speak for I know our pastors that are here, but even some people here that I don't know. We love you guys. We pray for you guys, and we trust you to protect us. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else would like to speak? Yes.
Clarissa Williams, CW Media, Cookeville Now, and Hometown Digital Marketing Agency and Shine Messengers. I also live at 1372 Ivy, and I'm proud of all of my fellow citizens. And I would just like to know, as a citizen, as you all see the unified effort here, I've spoke to all of you about your faith, and I believe all of you have the best interest at heart. Are there things as citizens that we can do to help you protect the city?
I know I don't have an answer to that yet. And this is something, again, it was an item that we haven't had a lot of time to discuss. And that's why we are taking note of what is being said. And we're going to have some discussions about it. And so that's where we can get back with y'all. Y'all can get, reach out to us. We're all easily available to talk to. So that's what, yeah, we've got some work to do.
Okay, and I would invite all of you on Cookeville Now to talk about it, or anyone else here that would like to come and talk about it from a Christian standpoint.
Thanks for that. Thank you. Do you have anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Brady Spain, just a citizen. So are we saying that because you can't make a decision about what all of these people are here for tonight, this is going to happen in our city 2 blocks from here on Sunday? It can't be something, can't be stopped. I mean, you all lead us. We're here to stand for our children and our family. And just because somebody doesn't have enough time to take attention on something that's happening in 3 days, it's going to happen. We need to stand right now. And there's got to be something that can stop this now. I see you all of these things up here. I thought, good gosh, they're talking so fast. I don't even know what they're talking about on all of these houses. And oh, don't get me started there. But there's some things that you all made a decision on. You all voted on them right here. Every one of them we saw a vote was making right then. We need them to vote right now. We're in a crossing point. I just want us to make a decision that this does not happen, because I still can't believe it happened over here at our library last year. Yes. So this ain't just happened to just come up on us. This crap's been going on for quite a while here. And we need to stand up. And I need for you all to make a decision tonight as quick on this as you did on this, to build a house as you are to, you're getting ready to tear a house down if we don't stand for we got, and I know y'all love the Lord. I want you all to stand right now, because if we walk out this door, there's no answer. It's happening. And they're going to laugh at us. And they're going to make fun at us like, yeah, Mom, but it didn't do any good. We still got our way. So please do something. There's got to be something. Mr. Rader, you got to know something. You got to know something, that something can be stopped. These people have prayed and prayed and prayed for this. And we've come out here to support you. But I just don't want our city to be home.
I don't know your name.
I'm sorry, I'm Brenda Spain. I do live here in Putnam County.
Every member of the city council is just as much or more concerned about this type of activity as you are. Every member on the city council, Mr. Mills, every person that leads this city is very much concerned and appreciate what this young gentleman said a few minutes ago and agree with them. But we have to have laws that we can enforce to take any action.
We have laws.
Okay, I will go ahead and say that this, I'll let Mr. Rader answer, but
We have conferred with the district attorney general. We've conferred with the county attorney. We've done research. I had this case that the pastor gave us beforehand, and that case did not stop the show in Jackson at all. Murfreesboro is in the middle of this. This one lady stood up and said, what can we do? The lady from what you can do is call the state legislature, because the state law that we read out loud does not cover this activity that is scheduled to happen on Sunday. It just absolutely does not. It does. And it's just the legislature is going, that's what they're trying to do, is fix that statute so that it will cover this, so that this time next year, the statute should take effect in July. And if it takes effect in July, then the city is going to amend its adult zoning ordinance to mirror what the state statute does. But right now, there is no law on the books, either at the state of Tennessee level or at the city level, that would allow either the city or the county or anybody else to stop the show that's scheduled.
I'm sorry, and I know that's not what you want to hear, and I wish I had a magic wand, but I don't. I've just got the laws that exist and the interpretation of those laws.
What about public indecency?
Mr. Rader, not to disagree with you, but I have read the law myself and I've got a degree or two and I'm not the smartest man in the room, but I've read the law and it states in there, female or male impersonators. We have a drag queen show, which is female or male impersonators in our community. There's also a whole lot more verbiage in that law, and you're well aware of it, that says that they're doing things that are against the law. It is Tennessee Code Section 7. Verse number, page 51. Yes, sir. 51. And it's Article 14. And it is very clear in there, if you read the whole law, what it says. And y'all may be concerned about a lawsuit, but I want you to understand something. There are concerned citizens who can sue the city as well, just like happened in Jackson. I'm trying to prevent that from happening because if y'all would
And that's,
stand.
yeah, and that's what we're trying to do as well. And like I said, we know we've got work to do.
Right.
At this time, we cannot have any further discussion because we know we've got to have some work. And we do ask, reach out to your state representatives. State law supersedes anything with the city. So that's what we're trying to do at this time. But there's no other action item that we can take right now.
It's action lawsuit.
So
Our church is within 362 feet of this facility and it will happen, I'm sure, Sunday morning, but that is a breach against us.
that's what we hear everyone's concerns. And again, we appreciate everyone coming out. Your comments have not fallen on deaf ears. We hear what you're having to say and we are working on everything that we can. So if there's no one else who wants to speak on any other items. And I will say, we hear you. We hear what you're saying. I think we understand what you're saying. If someone has something different to comment on, then yeah. Well, yeah, I think we know, we hear you. We've got it. We know we need to do work. There's nothing else that we can do at this time right now. And in the interest of, we do have another agenda item to discuss. And at the interest of keeping the meeting under control, I will ask that if anyone else has anything to speak, please come to talk to us personally. That's what we want to do, is we want to have personal conversations with y'all, have these discussions. But again, at this time, there's nothing else that we can do right now, but we know we need to do some things and we're working on it. So do you have something else to say?
That's just a question to ask. In the process of your reviewing and finding out what you should do or what you can do, can you not put a moratorium on any such activity being done until you reach that clear line so that you don't have to go backwards and try to say, oh, we shouldn't have let it do this because you have.
Can we do that?
Can you put a hold on something? That's just a question.
No, sir, we do not have a law. There is not a law on the books that prohibits what they've scheduled to happen. And I know that people have different interpretations of the laws, but I have to rely on what the state attorney general says. I have to rely on what the county attorney says. I have to rely upon my own legal research. I have to rely upon the 48 years that I've been practicing law. And I've done more civil rights law in this area than probably any other lawyer. And the city is limited in what it can do. The state laws are what have the teeth in them, not city ordinances. The maximum anybody can be fined for violating a city ordinance is $50. And there's no jail time. It's a $50 civil fine.
Then let's fine them all.
That's all the city can do. The state can actually put you in jail. The state can fine you. The state can pass laws that have real teeth. And that's where the action needs to be. Because I know that this gentleman disagrees, but the state statute does not prohibit the type of conduct that this group is concerned about and that this city council is concerned about. And that's why it's important to work with these state legislators to give the city a law that we can use to enforce what this group is asking the city to enforce. And like I said, I wish I had a magic wand, but I don't.
Did I misunderstand the question? Excuse me. Are you saying you have the ability, Jack Fornes, Cookeville, Tennessee? Are you saying you have the ability to give a $50 fine to each person who participates?
If you violate a city ordinance to give somebody a citation.
Is there a city ordinance like that in effect?
No, sir.
So basically, we have no law against what's going to happen.
That's exactly right.
So again, that's why I'm going to go ahead and take it for the meeting, okay? That's why we're working on it, guys. We are working on it. I promise you, we're working on it. But we have to put things in the right legal way, and that's what we're trying to do. So if no one else has anything else to discuss about this at the hearing portion right now, please come talk to us afterwards. We want to have this discussion. We want to hear your suggestions. We want to listen to y'all. But in the interest of, we've got another item to discuss. If no one else has anything to say, any council?
You care if I say something?
One more question,
You come ask us afterwards, okay? Like I said, we've got a lot of people here.
but related. I would like to know what is the timeline to put in a new law? Because we do want to be reliable citizens and we want to honor our elections.
Yeah, that's something we're going to have to get back to. We're working with this just like y'all are right now, getting all the information we can. And we want to make sure we give y'all the right information, the correct information, and do it in a way that this does what we want it to do. So do you have anything else?
Yeah, let me just say something real quick. Most of you know, me and Dan have talked about this quite often. It's the verbiage, I think, is what's getting us. Unfortunately, we are looking into it. You know where I stand. You know what I agree on some of I see the verbiage, and I kind of argue that as well and kind of talk about that as well. But we are looking at this. Trust us. We are going to look at this. We're going to do something. We're going to talk about it and discuss it with Dan even more. It's just, unfortunately, our hands are tied because it's either got to go, the state has to do something. They say we can't right now.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure we get this right before we just do something that causes to hurt us again in the future.
We would love to do this if we could, we just can't. But to answer your question, the state legislature is just now starting in Nashville. They will pass state statute. That's to go to the Senate and the House of Representatives. Once those two pass, then the governor can sign that law. Normally, they say at the end of the law, it takes effect the 1st of July, but sometimes the governor can say the law takes effect earlier than that. But it's just going to have to go through the state legislature, and those legislatures that you mentioned are the people you can talk to that can get the most done the fastest. And then when it comes back to the city, we'll take that state statute and we'll go from there. But that's the best we can do right now.
So I will say, if y'all want to have any more discussion, please come talk to us afterwards. We're here to discuss. Like I said, we're here to find a solution. We want to work and find a solution. So if there's no one else that wants to speak on any other items, again, we've heard you. We are trying. We promise we are trying. So, and at this time, if there's no other discussion, okay, is it a non-agenda item? Or is it an item that we've been discussing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's about the electricity. Can we talk about that?
That was an item you discussed on the agenda. Yeah. So you can come talk to us afterwards. We'll be happy to help you with that. I don't know if our electric department, if Mr. Haney is here, but come talk to us after. We'd be happy to. Is there anyone else who would like to discuss any non-agenda items? Okay. And then, like I said, from Luke, from all of us, thank y'all for coming out. We hear you. We hear you. We hear you. And we're doing everything we can to figure out what we need to do for this. We do have one more item. Item 9, Ms. Emmel, to receive the report on the debt obligations form CT 0253 on the general obligation bond series 2022.
And I'm sorry, I'll be very, very quick. Mayor and council, form CT 0253 is a debt obligation form that is required by the Tennessee Comptroller Division of Local Government Finance. The report is basically a summary of our recent bond sale. Back in October, council authorized the issuance of not to exceed $10 million in bonds. Bonds were sold at a public competitive sale on November 16th and closed on December 9th. 9 bids were received in that public sale, and the bonds were sold to the lowest true interest cost. The successful bidder was Piper Sandler and Company. The amount of the bonds issued was $9,650,000 to be repaid over 15 years. The true interest cost was 3.7134. The repayment coupon rates are from 5%, and then the later years go down to 4%. The bonds were certified tax exempt. The bond issue cost was $146,224. The premium on the bonds was $349,244.40. Moody's rated the bonds AA2, which is no change in our previous ratings. I'd be happy to answer any of the questions, but the report basically just summarizes all the details of the bonds. And I would recommend your acceptance of this debt report.
Okay, this does require a motion and a second. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Bocce. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Walker. Any discussion? All vote.
All votes correct. 5 yes, motion carries.
Thank you. At this time, this concludes our city council meeting and we are adjourned.